colleagues, parliamentary colleagues, and representatives from the Bermuda Commercial Bank. And good afternoon to the people of Bermuda who are watching us today. Today, we are at Laughlin's, a genuine success story creating new homeowners through direct government assistance. Between 2008 and 2011, the Bermuda Housing Corporation facilitated through 4 phases 60 plus families becoming first-time homeowners in this new condominium community in Pageant. This 96-unit development provided an opportunity for Bermudians to purchase an affordable home and build a community. The need for affordable housing at that time was met by that project as well as others around the island. Just over a decade later, access to the housing market is again an issue that we all hear on the doorstep, in casual conversations with young professionals, experts, tradespeople, and women and men across the island. After securing an education or employment, many Bermudians look to enter the property market as a means to secure a family home and an asset that will benefit them and future generations of their family. However, this aspiration can be frustrating at various stages, as there are sometimes barriers to entry, such as high interest rates and high down payments that make entry to the market for many seem insurmountable. This saps hope from young people who desperately want to own a piece of the rock, and it is the role of your government to deliver on our promise to create a nation of owners. On the first page of the Progressive Labor Party 2020 general election platform, we pledge to create a nation of owners and to work with local banks to provide security for mortgage loans to reduce interest rates charged on mortgages. I want to repeat that again, as it's important. On the 2020 election manifesto, on the first page, it said, and I quote, "Work with local banks to provide security for mortgage loans to reduce interest rates charged on mortgages." We have listened to the people who have openly shared their experiences, and in keeping with the promise that we made to the electorate, I am today pleased to advise of a joint venture in the form of a pilot mortgage guarantee program between the government of Bermuda and the Bermuda Commercial Bank. The government has been working with many local stakeholders on opportunities to reduce mortgage rates in Bermuda in an effort to reduce the financial pressure on families. And today's announcement represents a first step in that process. With this pilot program, the government has reached an agreement with the Bermuda Commercial Bank to provide a partial guarantee in support of local mortgages. The government support reduces the risk to bank, and in return for the reduced risks, the bank will offer approved applicants a reduced interest rate starting at 5% and also reduce the standard down payment from 20% to 10%. Whilst this is a pilot program with limited capacity, it is estimated to benefit 250 Bermudians. The government is advancing a broader scope initiative, which will look to reduce mortgage rates at our other major local banks generally. In the meantime, this pilot program will provide the immediate hand up to Bermudians as we recognize the impact that local interest rates and high down payments are having on the dream of home ownership for many Bermudians. The pilot program will be limited to a $50 million aggregate guarantee, and the eligible borrowers will be rolled out in 3 phases. The first phase will be for first-time home buyers. Many Bermudians wish to own a piece of the rock, and this initiative will assist them in achieving that dream by making it more affordable. The second and third phases are being fine-tuned and will be the subject of further announcements. Our goal is to extend this program to include those with existing mortgages interested in transferring them over and participating in the program with reduced interest rates. The approval process and the relationship throughout the entirety of the loan will be between the borrower and the bank. The government will have no involvement or influence with any decision made by the bank. It is also important to note that the government guarantee will not be in place for the entire term of the mortgage. As each term is unique, there is no definitive time period as to when the guarantee will fall away. However, the government guarantee will remain in place for a minimum of 5 years, and it is anticipated on a normalized basis to be in place between 5 and 10 years. This process will allow the government to then apply the guarantee in support of additional mortgages when the guarantee falls off for existing ones. In terms of savings, under this pilot program, a new $500,000 mortgage, a borrower will save approximately $500 a month, and a new $750,000 mortgage will save approximately $650 a month. As mentioned, when I spoke about the reduced down payment, the savings that will come in that perspective is that instead of someone having to borrow or save $100,000, they'll only have to save $50,000 for down payment, or $75,000 versus $150,000. There are many Bermudians who may be working on saving up that 20% down payment to buy their first home, and may be halfway there. This program, which we are announcing today, which reduces that down payment to 10%, will enable them to advance their home ownership ambitions sooner, which I'm sure is welcome news, as many young persons have called on this government to make the dream of home ownership easier. There are also other associated loan fees which will be reduced as well, which in totality will provide additional savings for Bermudians purchasing a home or in the future refinancing an existing mortgage. I am also pleased to advise that the Bermuda Credit Union has been in discussions with the government to implement a similar program. The government looks forward to working with this member-based organization to assist them in being able to provide mortgage rate reductions to their members in the near future. As I close, corporate interests make the argument that the risks they take in investing in Bermuda or an industry should be supported by tax relief or government guarantees. Governments provide both when it appears that the investment is worth it and will bring some economic benefit to the community. Creating a nation of owners was our promise, and this program represents a direct investment in the people of Bermuda, deploying the government's capacity to support economic growth for the people we serve. The economy will benefit from a growing number of Bermudians owning homes in Bermuda and receiving this government's tangible support to make that a reality. Before I hand over to Mr. Neville Grant, the CEO for the Bermuda Commercial Bank, I want to thank the Bermuda Commercial Bank for working with the government to design this program, and I want to extend special thanks to MP Jashay Adams, who works for the Ministry of Finance, who is a driving force to make sure that this program is a reality. Mr. Grant.
Thank you, Premier Burt. Good afternoon, Bermuda. We are excited to partner with the government. This is a great opportunity for Bermuda Commercial Bank, and we want to be really focused on assisting and developing this program for Bermuda. This is a combination of a lot of hard work and creativity between the two teams, and really the focus was keeping future homeowners as well as existing homeowners in mind. The program is an opportunity to assist Bermudians when they borrow to have their vision of home ownership in the first phases, and then in future phases to assist with lowering the cost of borrowing. As we consider the current average base rates and lending rates in Bermuda of 7.5%, and the offering of 5% in this program at present, which is the commercial bank's base rate plus 2, that is a significant savings for the borrowers in Bermuda. Also, to assist with this approval process, we have launched an online lending application form, and that could be accessed on the Bermuda Commercial Bank's website at www.bcb.bm. In addition to the lending application, we also have an account opening application, so that will assist you in becoming a customer of Bermuda Commercial Bank. If you do not wish to apply online, you could visit us in our offices on 34 Bermudiana Road. And for references in the Bermuda format, it's close to the Lobster Pot and right next door to Little Venice. And we look forward to seeing you or hearing from you. Bermuda Commercial Bank will continue to look at innovating banking solutions for Bermuda. We'll strive to offer the best rates, and we will continue to work on other strategic programs to be a valued banking partner in Bermuda. Thank you, and I'll turn back over to the Premier for any questions. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Any questions for myself or Mr. Grant?
Just to confirm, the full taxpayer liability for the guaranteed income is 15 million, and across all the different ones, 15 million. Did I hear that right?
50 is the size of the program, but I think that's important to note that when we're talking about this, one of the things, and you heard me talk about a broader application, one of the things which we're doing to make sure that we do risk management on this as well. And when we talk about how we're going to expand this program, one of the things is that Bermuda is home to some of the largest mortgage insurers on the planet. So we have our international business companies that are here that are insuring mortgages in the United States to reduce mortgage rates for customers in the United States. So part of this program of which we're doing is making sure that we also provide insurance for that balance to reduce the total risk to the government's balance sheet. But when the broader program of which we're speaking about, we're going to engage the international business community to ensure that they can work with the wider banking community as a way to lower interest rates.
And also, yesterday passed in the Senate stamp duty act, and presumably going to will run in some ways along the of this. Do help me understand this. This is just the very first time buyers not refinancing, but stamp duty act. How many times can someone refinance under that act? Without having to pay stamp duty?
I think that if you're refinancing, the transaction applies. I don't think you want to refinance all the time, but if you do, the stamp duty exemption does apply. And it was something that was a government policy, but there was a view that some of the technicalities that were written into the law made it difficult. So we made it completely clear and unambiguous that if you are transferring a mortgage from one body to another body for a lower interest rate, that you will not have to pay stamp duty again on that transaction.
And this does fall within another benefit, another cut, another provision for Bermudians. But there is the question, remains the question as asked last week, the other side of this, to bring money in, the tax reform. Last week you said the discussions are on, but in the budget you did say near and medium term tax revenues would increase with the recommendations of the new tax reform commission. Can you tell us who's on that tax reform commission and what their recommendations are?
There are no recommendations at this time insofar as the tax reform commission. The view that has been taken is what we want to make sure to do is to focus on the international tax aspects first, because that is something that is critically important as we're running up to the global tax agreements. What the Ministry of Finance has done has reached out to stakeholders from the various international business communities, that's ABIR, ABIC, the law firms, the accounting firms, et cetera, to make sure that we work on and focus on those particular plans. On the domestic side, those are discussions that are still ongoing with the Ministry of Finance, but to be very specific, the specific appointments to the Tax Reform Commission have not yet been made.
Oh, so there's not a
Correct.
Tax Reform Commission.
Correct. Yes. We are focusing on the international tax aspects at this time.
Okay. Well, not to go too far off the subject today, but this has been a matter going on since 2017, and we had the Tax Reform Commission report in 2018. There was little really happening from it. And what do you say to the unions who think after 5 years this government doesn't know how to reform our taxes?
Well, that's a very interesting question. From the Tax Reform Commission report, which was given in 2018, those things were examined. I have looked at that report. I know that we're producing a pre-budget will come out on November 30th. So I would not accept what back to which you're saying that the government doesn't know the direction. But what is important is that these things are discussed, analyzed, put out to consultation, and are not dropped on budget day. So I know what was in the previous recommendation of the Tax Reform Commission. There are variants about what may exist there, but the reformation and the new impetus for the Tax Reform Commission that was passed by the former Minister of Finance in 2020, the focus was on how do we implement the international tax agreement that has been signed up to by Bermuda, which is implementing a minimum corporate tax of 15%. And so from that perspective, that is what the drive and impetus for that was.
My final question on this that I do want to, I would like to stay on that subject, but I will be respectful of the circumstance. Can you tell me how quickly will we see Bermudian first-time buyers benefit from this? When is this rolling out? And can we people here right now?
Go on, Neville.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to say now. So it is up on our website and it's ready to receive applicants as we speak.
Thank you,
Premier, so are you following the footsteps of Margaret Thatcher and trying to create a new democracy?
I'm following the footsteps of what has been laid out by the Progressive Labour Party's election manifesto, which comes from the members of this party. And when we say we're going to create an ownership society, I listen to the feedback. And what we want to ensure is that more Bermudians have access to owning a home. It is difficult, especially with the cost of living in Bermuda, to save the funds which are required. And there are persons who have been trying to make sure they get up to that 20% threshold. They may have their 10% now and will be thrilled to know that they can go to Bermuda Commercial Bank and get on that home ownership ladder, speak to their realtor, and make the offer. I was on Property Skipper last night, and there's a number of properties that are under $750,000 that young Bermudians may want to go ahead and finally get on the home ownership ladder. But what is important is, and as the Minister responsible for housing is here as well, there's more work that we're doing. So this is a wide-ranging set of government policies to deal with what I believe is one of the most critical challenges of which we face, and that is the cost of housing in Bermuda and the availability of housing in Bermuda.
And this talks about your wider effort on the cost of living crisis. The customs bill has gone through the legislation now, but it hasn't been gazetted yet. So as companies here have to buy in bulk, this is the 21% for items, as they have to buy in bulk, I mean, how long will it be until that goes through, and how long will it be until people actually feel it in their pocket?
Well, just so you're aware, Mr. Colony, it was passed by the Senate yesterday. It then has to go to the governor for ratification, and then I can gazette it. We have to make sure we take the steps in place. But the Ministry of Finance intends on bringing that legislation into force on November 1st. So the Gazette notice will have it to set for November 1st. They're working with Customs, making sure that they are ready for the implementation date, and the Cost of Living Commission will be working with the grocers and the wholesalers who they've been working with, but the date will be November 1st.
That's when people actually feel it in their pocket.
I will leave it to the Cost of Living Commission to discuss on what they are doing with the grocers. The grocers are pretty competitive and working on various things, but the bill itself will come into place on November 1st.
On that, this bill is called for across the range, up on all goods, 20 to 25%. Do you think that that's realistic?
I'm not going to comment on what recommendations may be having. A person said that they are going to solicit views and have a meeting with the government, and it'll be inappropriate for me to comment at that time. What I will note is one of the recommendations that were in there were to work with local banks to make sure that we lower down payments and to lower mortgage rates, and that is precisely what it is that we're delivering today. But I don't want you to think, Mr. Connolly, that this is something that was just came up about 3 weeks ago. This is something that was in our election manifesto. This is something that MP Joshe Adams has been working on, making sure that we can put together to deliver. And I'm pleased that it was here. I wanted to announce it in Parliament on Friday, But we needed to make sure that every I was dotted and every T was crossed. The applications were ready, and we're ready to go. But today, this isn't saying something that's coming in the future. This is something that Bermudians who may have that 10% saved up already can go ahead and apply and to enter that homeownership ladder.
You say you can't comment on what the commissioner might bring forward,
Mhm.
but you as Premier, would you like to aspire to 20%?
The pre-budget report is going to be released on November 30th, and it will contain all of the various things that the government is putting out to consultation and considerations which we have in advance of the next budget.
You mentioned your election manifesto. Obviously, people are concerned at the moment with the cost of living crisis, but your party is actually the governing party is divided. Obviously, that's where you're having elections. How would you heal that rift if you win next week? Would you invite this constituency to be a member of your cabinet? And if you lost, would you participate in this cabinet?
Well, the one thing I'm not going to do is to speculate on what may happen in the future. But I think what's the key point is that you spoke about the Progressive Labor Party platform. All members of the Progressive Labor Party are committed to executing our platform promises. And today, we are delivering on something that is substantive, something that was in the first page of the particular platform, which is to make sure that we work with local banks to lower mortgage rates and lower down payments. And that is what the government has delivered today.
Go back to your election manifesto. Former leader Mark Green says that if you get re-elected, the party is going to lose the next general election. What's your reaction?
I would not expect the leader of an opposing political party that was beat at the last election by the Progressive Labor Party to say anything different.
There's been accusations of dirty tricks in the campaign. Do you accept that?
I do not.
Thank you, Mr. Conley. I appreciate your questions. Members of the media, members of the cabinet, Mr. Grant, and the team, that concludes today's presentation. Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we stay for the
Absolutely.